All right, Rusty, welcome back to Tarqaron, sir.
Thank you for having me back, Zach. It's so fun to chat Survivor, especially since you and your main co-host Alec are going through chronologically through Survivor, of course, and you guys are just now going through Guatemala. You and I have a chance to talk through current Survivor. It's always a good time. We talk through, 42 in review, which was, I think, a really good season.
It
I
was really
think
good.
41, you and I were kind of a little mixed, coming away from all of the, random nonsense they kind of interjected after 40 Winners at War. And 42, great season. I'm excited what they do with 43, and I'm excited to talk about it with you today.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot less of the unknown that we had because unfortunately we didn't do a pre-season video for 42.
That's right.
So we haven't done it since 41 when there was all these new changes coming and they talked about it was going to be a new era, and it had been so long since the new season was out. So now it's like we might make minor changes, but more or less we kind of know what to expect.
hmm
And so now it's just adapting our mind to that, and we're gonna do a draft, and we're gonna do a little bit of a cast assessment here. Worth noting that I did win the last two drafts. All right,
You did, yeah. I'm not
so
doing so,
we're
so
gonna
well.
keep it
Yeah,
going. This is the new era. Drop the 4, keep the 1. And I'm just gonna sweep it from here on out.
we'll see.
Um,
We'll see.
so there's really not much like in the 41 preseason review. I would go into all the different things that we heard Jeff talking about, like leading up to the monster and the horror movie and things like that.
Yeah.
So the only things I've heard are, first of all, there's a 2-hour premiere on September 21st,
Okay.
and then a week later there will be a 90-minute episode on September 28th, which is interesting. They've never done that before. The second
Interesting.
episode is longer. And I have heard that the only thing Jeff has confirmed is there will be no hourglass, there will be no do or die twist.
Really?
So,
Okay, I've not read about that.
or
That's interesting.
no, Jeff might not have confirmed this, but this was like inside information, I believe. But Jeff did confirm some stuff is coming back, but it's pretty much a guarantee that we're not going to have the hourglass and the do or die, which were two controversial twists from the last two seasons.
hmm
And 41, 42 are very much paired, and like Jeff even said it himself when they came back. It's like, all right, we can try the same stuff again, and they'll react differently because they didn't get to see it. And some of the stuff we knew wouldn't work, like bringing it back, like the secret catchphrases, like you can't do that again.
No, you cannot.
It just doesn't work. People are gonna be looking out for weird phrases. People probably be picking up on phrases that aren't even anything now too. They'll be like, "Oh, that's
Paranoid.
that's
Yeah,
a phrase, huh?"
exactly. Yeah.
But the hourglass was the most controversial, of course.
hmm
Turn back time. It was worse in 41, of course, because he
Yep.
literally told them they won the challenge, and then he took it away from them. And
Yeah.
42, like they did minor changes. They knew ahead of time that there was some sort of advantage potentially or twist for the one person that got sent out alone, and they changed that up a bit. But still, people still have been out on the hourglass twist. So it's like, looks like they actually listened to that. The do or die twist, I'm surprised, because these sick producers, I was expecting them to be like, we need to see someone die first. We can't let it go.
So what about the shot in the dark though? Do you think they're going to still have the 1 in 6? Toss your
He
little.
has said shot in the dark will be there. Basically, what I heard from it, like a little interview from Jeff, is that like there are some things, there are a couple twists that'll change in any given season, but to paraphrase, basically like there's a new norm. Like the shot in the dark is there to stay. These be aware advantages, some element of risk and reward,
hmm
and I think also the earn the merge thing is coming back too, where you have
Okay.
to earn your way in to actually merge. So this is kind of like the new standard almost. Like you have to the shot in the dark. We haven't seen it work yet,
No. No.
but I just didn't want to see it. I don't want to see it work.
I don't either.
I don't Because
Because I feel like
it's not like an immunity idol. Because I was kind of flawed in how I was thinking about it before, and it was like it kind of is like nonsense in that I was thinking about the fact as if they could decide who went home, but they don't get a vote. You do lose your vote when you do that, so you can kind of account for it in some way. But in the early days, when you have these tiny tribes and someone uses their shot in the dark, it's like, and then if someone just throws a random vote, then that person's gone. Like I think it's too chaotic, too unpredictable at that point.
I agree, and especially because I feel like at least in 41 and 42 when we saw it played, maybe my memory isn't serving me well, but it was so early on that the person that we all thought collectively, one is the tribe in the game, and then as an audience, like, yeah, it's just time for Genie, or it's just time for this person to go home. Like, they're not gonna get far in the game, but if their shot in the dark would have worked, and they would have gotten someone out early on, like Ricard or like a Shan, can you imagine if they would have gone out like day 3 or 5 or 6? The trajectory of the game, how much it would have changed, but how the entertainment value would have been shifted because that dominant of a player would have been out so early. I just feel like at a certain point you have to remove that game of chance and allow the actual game of Survivor to be played.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are trying to account for it in that they're like trying to make it absolute certain. Like, it's kind of encouraging you to make people feel more comfortable so that they don't know they're on the outs and wouldn't play the shot in the dark. I guess that's what it's encouraging. And Jeff talked about how the new players are going to have to learn how to navigate the shot in the dark. So that's kind of like a thing you got to get used to and see how players adapt. But the whole 1 in 6 thing, it's like there's rarely ever going to be a payoff, if any, at the shot in the dark. We've seen it actually. It was there was only like 1 or 2 in season 41, but then there was a bunch of them last season that tried and failed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, if when it pays off, we might suffer for it. That being said, I mean, recent Survivor in general always had this element of luck.
Yeah, it does.
Especially recently, literally that hourglass. Erica, from most accounts, seems to be the person who would have been voted out at that merge vote. Had she not smashed the hourglass or whatever, like, she would have been done. And so it's not even necessarily that, like, you use the shot in the dark and you're out the next tribal council, because we've seen how quickly things can shift. You actually could find your way in the end game, like, little things change, you know. In David versus Goliath, Nick potentially gets voted out first, but Pat gets medevaced and he goes on to win the game. You know, these things do happen.
Crazy stuff, for sure.
So, because you think on paper, knowledge is power. You save yourself, well, you're just going to be the next one out. But not in this crazy, fast-paced 26-day era. Suddenly you're working. Suddenly you're shifting things every day. So.
What's that monster, Zach? You just can't account for. You know.
The monster, the octopus.
Yeah.
Is waiting. So.
The Kraken.
So it's unfortunate. Like, I know most fans don't like the twistiness of these recent seasons. It's like the biggest criticism of this new era for sure.
Yeah.
People were excited, especially 41 got this criticism because people were excited as like a new direction, but it seemed like they tried so many new things all at once when they could have just like taken one of them and like people wouldn't be as mad. You take one of these twists, throw it in there.
It was a lot and it was overwhelming as an audience member, and I think for those earlier episodes in 41 and maybe most of the course of season 41, it felt like 98% of the time it was just constant strategy and talking about advantages, and I have this and they have that. Whereas I feel like 42 really came into its own in balancing out the advantages in the strategy talk with actual like human interaction among the people. Like, I cannot count on both my hands how many times there were genuine heart-to-heart conversations among cast members throughout 42 that was pretty emotionally moving, and I feel like they've finally found that balance from 41 to 42 to have a whole slew of advantages and things going on while still having the lens focused on the actual people playing the game. And I feel like 41, they struggled to find that balance.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, there's still some work to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's noticeable, like, having just rewatched Guatemala recently. It's like, obviously there's a lot more boring episodes if you go
Yeah.
to a season like Guatemala versus now. And that's almost like, without twists, you're going to have that. There's going to be some predictable episodes. There's going to be some less exciting episodes. But it's like it makes those moments all the more great when people do pull off this amazing maneuver or this amazing blindside without needing to, like, use this idle nullifier and then add an extra vote and then throw a shot in the dark. All these things. It's almost like the sweetness of the old school era, but we're so far gone where you just have to learn this new game.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's also the big theme of the last 2 seasons has been that the advantages are most like public knowledge, right? Like we saw how, like, because of those phrases, pretty much everybody knew where all the idols were, which is something we didn't have before. And I think it's hard to say. I don't know. Do you like that or do you not like that? Because we do miss out on like the surprise idol plays. The only thing we got from 42 was Marianne being able to reveal at the end that she didn't use. There was the one idol advantage that no one knew about that she never used.
Yeah, I think if they can strike that balance, it to me it really is about finding that balance between surprise and public knowledge with these types of advantages. And I feel like if they can find a way to, I don't think they're going to have the surprise phrases again, but if they can find a way to have a 3-way, hidden immunity idol, or find a way to require these contestants to communicate with other tribes in order to activate these idols and still have at a certain point in the game, maybe it only happens post-merge, to have hidden immunity idols. And maybe it's a lesser known public fact that they're even out there, right? Like maybe someone in the midst of a challenge finds a clue that they otherwise wouldn't know unless they're, they have their eyes open, they're sitting on the bench because they sit out on a challenge. I think finding a way to interject the hidden immunity idols while still having some type of weird, because they're not just going to go back to having hidden immunity idols. There's going to be some weird twist where something's going to have to happen in order to activate it, even if it's like one person going to a rival tribe in the middle of the night, sneaking into camp and getting into someone's other bag. Like, we've seen that type of stuff too. So I think if they can find a way to strike that balance between suspense and excitement and surprise, I think it's going to be exciting. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they love this idea of, like, you need that other person to activate the thing. And like, and also how that dynamic, I guess it's interesting because it adds new dynamics to it. Like with the whole amulet of power, how it's like it's more powerful the less people that are there.
Yeah.
But it also adds like this other element that's like it's like you're voting people out for other factors that were just kind of imposed on them. Like those 3 that got to the amulet just happened to be running that leg of that reward challenge.
Yeah.
And they just got this. And then so suddenly that could influence how you end up potentially turning on each other or working together. There's so much randomness at that point I don't like. But also the knowledge is power. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't want to see it again, but I feel like we're still going to see it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Both times I feel like the knowledge is power, if it actually worked the way it was intended to work, it would have been a bad outcome for the show. Like, if the knowledge is power worked in season 42, Mike gets voted out, who was a likable fan favorite. If it worked in season 41, then Xander gets voted out. Or I don't know if he was getting voted out or if they were just going to take it from, I forget what they were going to do. But
both those people make it to final 3. Like, that's so significant. That's so disruptive to the rest of the game. And that's what it's meant to do, obviously. But I think from an audience perspective, it really would have radically disrupted the season in terms of enjoyment and fan, outcry into interjecting something like that into the game.
So all these twists, they only work in spite of themselves. Like people that find ways to make it so they don't work successfully these past 2 seasons.
Do or Die is another great example. I mean, can you imagine if Deshawn by chance got voted out, or what was it, Lindsay in 42? Was it Lindsay who did Do or Die? Because it was her and Jonathan were the only 2 people that did the challenge at the end, and Jonathan won that challenge.
Yeah, it was Lindsay.
and they both survived. So you can imagine especially Lindsay, the competitor she was,
And
to go out by chance.
that was the exciting vote. Who got voted out? That was Omar's big exciting vote that time.
I think that was what was her name? Because she like hugged everyone and said, "I can't believe you did that. Like, thank you so much." She didn't say thank you, but she was very friendly about getting voted out at that point. I thought. Drea, yeah.
Was it Drea?
I thought it was.
I can't remember now. It was like Omar's big move that he ended up getting voted out afterwards because of it, but it was his big move that kind of made him like the front runner at the time, and we would have missed out on that whole moment if the do or die actually.
I think that's when Jeff said, like, this is the perfect way that Survivor's supposed to be. Everyone's friendly about it, like it's all good and, sunshine and roses. And you and I were kind of like, I mean, yes and no, right?
Yeah.
But
like, yeah, in both circumstances, if they just died, it's like, well, there's all the all the like the actual suspense and interesting stuff of those episodes lost.
Exactly.
So many of these twists, I feel like they don't understand that they lucked out and these things worked like in spite of them.
Yeah.
And so they're just going to double down until we get that bad outcome. I mean, they did that with the Idol nullifier and got Janet voted out at the final five when she could have potentially won and made that season a little better. Like, they do these things. They had, like, Natalie Anderson comes back in Winners at War, and she, if it weren't for Tony doing everything humanly possible, that twist backfires tremendously. If Natalie beat Tony, then so it's like all these things. They don't know what they're doing.
No.
But also I hope we don't have the same thing with the risk your vote. Like they said, there's going to be a element of risk and reward, but I hope it's not the same thing, because that's like you go to the Shipwheel Island. That's what you're in for already.
Such a tired thing. We can
do the prisoner's dilemma. You can't keep doing the prisoner's dilemma.
No, they've got to figure out something else, and I don't want it just to be like an Exile Island thing either. Like, it's the same song and dance. We need to figure out something new and innovative and creative that actually seems like it has some significant change to the overall game.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, because it seems they love the idea of like people not having the votes. After like the chaotic tribal they had pre-merge last season, where it like came down to Daniel versus High in that negotiation, because like all these votes were lost. I think they like the idea of that kind of stuff. People's like Omer blasting or being able to pull off some moves because he didn't have a vote, and he was able to manipulate things. But so it's a big question mark. We have the foundation of what to expect. We're gonna see the shot in the dark. Maybe we'll see it happen. Maybe we'll see it happen this time. But all right, so let's do our draft. Okay,
let's do it. Yep.
Now we both did whatever preparation we wanted to do in advance. You can be as in depth as you want. You could go hours and hours, watch every interview, read their whole bios, and you still probably have just as good a chance as someone who just looks at the pictures and just does it based on. I like how they look.
Yeah, and I did.
A lot of the time, like fans, we like to talk about stuff before the season because we're just waiting. It's anticipation, but we really don't know anything. We don't know anything about how these people actually play. I know I can't point to specific examples, but I definitely know there were ones where like I'm not really excited to see them play, and then they end up being like completely different when they actually play.
Exactly. Yeah, so, you just never really know.
And yeah, neither of us really pegged Marianne as the winner. It's just she was on my team. When I did my draft with my family last season, it basically got to the point where I ended up just getting all the weird people, and she talked about how she wanted to show you can be weird and win Survivor or whatever. So I just kind of went with sometimes you just got to follow your gut, go with it.
Yep.
One season, I don't know if it was Survivor or Big Brother, I just went with all women because the first few I got were women. So I was like, all right, let me just do an all women thing this time. I might have done that with Survivor 41, actually, mostly women for our
You
drafts. Yeah.
You did.
I think I wanted to do all women, but you like took the one that I
Took a
wanted there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So how are we doing this? I mean, do we
How
want
do we
to
decide who goes first?
have any restrictions in terms of like we have to do guy, girl, or are we just kind of going? I think we just kind of don't set any kind of guardrails around
Mhm.
it. We just kind of do what we want to do. Um, I mean, since you've won the past two, I don't know if that means I should go first or you've earned the right to go first in your draft in the draft
I've
here.
seen Rob as a podcast. The way they'll do some drafts is that like the person who wins, they usually have drafts with a bunch more people, but it's like the person who won the previous one gets to pick the draft order for this season. That's how they do it.
I think that's only fair because we never really determined a reward or penalty for winning or losing the draft. So I think you winning the past two earns you the right to pick first.
Right, right. I'm all on board for that. Now, does it make sense? Does it make sense to do like a snake draft with two people? Does that work, or does it just go back and forth?
I think it just goes back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go with Owen.
Yeah, he was high on my list. He was high on my
That's
list.
just a soul read. Once from the moment I saw him, I was like, I want Owen.
Mhm.
I want him on my team.
Yeah. College admissions director, 30 years old, on the Baka tribe.
Yeah, we did get to see the tribe distribution. I didn't really pay that any mind, but all right.
I only did for the simple fact of like if I picked 5 people straight in the Baka tribe and they go to tribal council like 5 times straight, I'm completely screwed. So,
Yeah. So I didn't even look. So I'm just gonna hope I don't do that.
Yeah, Owen I like. You know, it's easy to make the comparison to oh, you're gonna have to help me out. Why am I completely doing a Woo? Yeah, and he even makes the comparison himself in his little interview. But
Yeah.
he's gonna be great. He's gonna be great. I'm gonna go with someone goofy, the oldest person this season. He's a heart valve specialist, Gabler. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He literally is going by his last name. He's just
Is he? I didn't even know that.
yeah. I think his first name is Mike, maybe,
Mike, yeah.
and he's just going by Gabler. All tatted up, just looks like someone that's just gonna bring kind of this goofy, light-hearted feel to tribal, or not even tribal council, maybe tribal, but certainly camp life. And yeah, oldest person this season. I don't know. I didn't take a whole lot of notes on him. I'm just kind of going for it because I think he's just going to be a very entertaining person to watch, and I could see him going pretty deep into the game.
He does seem like fun. Though notably on one of his interviews, I read the text version. I need to listen to the audio version because I'm not sure if they just misprinted it or if he actually did this. But he brought up, he was like, he said, "What's your favorite moment?" And he said, "Mine's from Survivor Africa." And then he goes on to say about Randy giving a fake, or them giving a fake idol to Randy, and he's talking about Survivor Gabon. I'm like, what are you
It's
talking
like
about?
Randy. He wasn't in Africa.
But he does what he watches Survivor. I guess we can just go through the cast after we pick too. It works, like as we're picking them, and then we can go through the bio a little bit. Maybe we'll rattle off some of their pet peeves at the end.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so to go back to Owen real quick, he's a patron on Rob Has a Podcast, which is the podcast I listen to, hosted by Rob's sister Nino. So he's actually like a super fan of the game. He said he stopped watching back around Fiji, and then he kind of fell back in love when he saw Millennials versus Gen X, and that's when he came back in.
Okay.
And then Mike, he watches Survivor with pause. He pauses the show and he basically asks the room about what they would do or what they think's gonna happen. Like he watches it with his family.
My wife and I, we do the same thing when we're rewatching seasons, and especially when we were binging over the course of the pandemic. I'd either pause and give her additional context of like, not what would happen if she hadn't seen it, but just like, I don't know, some random tidbit or fact, or I would ask her like what she thinks or what she would do. Or we just have some like dialogue around it because it's fun. And we did it so often that when we started watching 41 live, I grabbed the remote and tried to press pause because it was just so ingrained in my mind that we would do that. I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a fun thing to do.
And I also wrote down each other person. They basically, in this interview from Parade.com, they always ask who would you most relate to? What winner and non-winner do you most relate to? So that's always interesting. So for Owen, he said Gabby from David versus Goliath and Adam from Millennials versus Gen X.
So he's going to cry a lot, but he's going to potentially win also.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he appreciates some. I get good vibes from Owen.
I actually love Gabby. She's like the sweetest. My wife and I, we're watching David and Goliath right now because it's a rewatch for us, but it's on Netflix. And yeah, Gabby and Christian's relationship is just it's adorable.
She said, "You want to play with me?"
Yeah.
He's like, "What? You're here in the sand?"
Hands? Yeah, it's so good.
And so Mike good. brought up two winners. He said Jeremy and Ben. And then he brought up Rupert for a non-winner.
Who the hell voted me?
It's always a red flag for me when someone says Ben. I don't know. It's like that wouldn't be my go-to winner to pick because he was. You gotta hope that a twist falls in your lap at the end there and gets you to the end. All right, so I'm gonna pick Janine. This is my second one.
Okay.
Now, this person I initially had way down on my list, and then I watched her little clip on social media, the 1 minute clip, and she seemed really personable. And I just went off of the vibe, like, oh, she seems like fun. And it's a combination. It's like you want people that on your draft team that have a good chance of winning, but I also want to have people that I can root for too. You know.
Oh yeah.
And she seems like she'd be fun. She's happy to be there, and I could see her being successful. You know, I could also see her going out early. It's one of those things.
You just never know.
But she basically said she feels like she'll be underestimated for being small, but she's actually really athletic, so she could do well in that regard. She went to Harvard for something. I think she's a UX designer, I think is what she said.
Yeah, she's definitely got the smarts for sure. I kind of wrote some notes down. Dev background, going to be really smart. You know, with her, I didn't hear the interview or anything like that. So that you saying she's personable is contrary to what I just like stereotypically believed of someone with a developer background. I thought, okay, she might be a little bit socially awkward. Maybe she might, not be strong in the social game, but strategically she's really got a lot going on there. So yeah, maybe she's kind of the full package. Never know.
I think so. And so for her winner, she said Kim Spradlin, which is a common one for women. I mean, that's a good one to hear. And for non-winner, you won't believe what she said for non-winner. She said, "Can I pick someone from Winners at War?" A non-winner for Winners at War. So she picked Natalie Anderson as her non-winner.
No, it doesn't
That's
work.
her loophole.
Doesn't work, Janine. Oh man, gotta love it.
But I hope she does well. Who you got next?
I don't know. I just get really good vibes from this person, and I've only seen their picture. I've only seen that they're a pharmacist. They're 43 years old. Anika? I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name.
Naka, I think.
Is that how you pronounce her? Okay.
Yeah.
I saw her picture. She has a great smile, and I'm like, you know what? I just get really... Neka. Okay. I just got really good vibes from her, and I've not seen her 1 minute clip on Twitter. I've not seen any bio information.
Just
good vibes.
I feel you. She started watching during the pandemic, so she's new.
Okay.
She said for her winner, she said Denise.
Oh, Denise. Okay, good.
And for non-winner, Sari. So.
Oh, queen.
I mean, there's not going to be any bad answers. There's one, I thought was actually a bad answer for this question, but usually it's not a bad answer to someone you can relate to. You're going to pick two great players, and it's like, we'll see. We'll see if you actually do that. People come out here, they pick Tony, they pick Parvati, you could say, anybody could say that they're good players. Let's see if you actually do anything close to that.
Yeah, exactly.
But she does seem fun. I was just a little concerned because she is new. But it doesn't necessarily matter because it's a new game. They dropped the 4, so we're 3 seasons in.
Exactly.
I'm going to pick Gio. Gio Bustamante.
I got big Brandon Hance vibes from this person.
Brennan
I don't know.
Hance.
I don't know
Oh,
why.
no.
I don't know why. Gio's probably gonna win the game, but
So, I hope so. Basically, he said he describes himself as a gay Latino immigrant. He's 36 years old. And he's talked about how he's overcoming so many insecurities he's had, and Survivor's kind of helping him to do that. He had to quit his job as an account manager for a telecommunications company so that he could come on Survivor because he couldn't get the time off. He claims to have seen every episode, so I like that. He just said Cochran, Boston Rob, and Sandra are ones that he likes. So Cochran because of the insecurities and stuff. I think Boston Rob, he said, because he's like, I'm not gonna probably be as much of a mastermind or whatever, but I do like to be strategic. And then Sandra is just like a strong woman.
Good
But
stuff.
I think he seems like fun too. So.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be entertaining for sure. I like Gio. For me, I think I'm gonna go with James Jones as my next pick. He's a chess champion. His audition, it wasn't his audition tape, but I imagine in the 1-minute clip that they put on Twitter, they must have taken clips from his audition tape because it reminded me a lot of Spencer's audition tape from Brawn Beauty. And
What was he doing in it? I don't remember.
in his audition tape, like he just showed like it was an accelerated like fast forwarded clip of him playing chess and like winning in like 4 or 5 moves, which was probably just like staged, but yeah, James Jones, he was a chess champion growing up, and he kind of talked about how like when he went to these tournaments across the United States, there were a lot of people that didn't look like him, and so he really kind of modeled his potential gameplay around the game of chess and like needing to understand the moves of other players and are you going to make the first move or are you going to wait for other people to make their mistake before you make a move. So I loved how he applied the game of chess to the game of Survivor. I know we always talk about like people are more than just chess pieces in the game of Survivor, but he seems to have a really good head on his shoulders in the way he's approaching the game. Yeah, I just think he's going to do well, and I really liked him kind of as a person from what I gathered from his 1-minute clip there. So
Yeah, it's cool. He did talk about he wants to prioritize finding his opposites. He wants to find people that are opposite to him in the game so that they can branch out who he's got connections with. And then he did name for the winner he was most related to. He said Earl, and for the non-winner he said Suri. So yeah, I think he talked about how he was happy. I don't know if he watched all along or he watched around Fiji time, but he liked seeing like a black man winning because it had never happened before. So
yeah,
that's a good one though. I'm gonna say Cassidy.
all right.
I don't know. A lot of my things are based on just the vibe, and it's a good vibe, you know. And I think the little interviews actually helped a lot. I feel like they helped more than the whole text interviews that I saw, like the 1-minute clips they posted on social media. I feel like they're helpful because you can actually
they're edited together really well. Like you actually get a lot from that 1 minute.
So she was actually supposed to be on season 41 until stuff happened and the cast got reworked, and she was basically cut out of that, and she had to re-audition to get back to where she's at now.
Oh my gosh.
And for the winner, she said, I'll just keep it simple. I'll keep it from the same season. For the winner, Nick, and the non-winner, Christian. So, David versus Goliath fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she's got a good vibe. There's a lot of this cast I do like. They seem nice. They seem personable.
Yeah. Overall, watching I didn't watch all the 1-minute clips but from everything I watched, I was like, you know what, this is feeling really good about this season.
We'll see though. I mean, here brace for an incoming controversial season.
Worst season.
There's like horrible things happening.
Exactly. I'm gonna go with Lindsay Carmine next. 42 years old.
Okay.
pediatric nurse. I've not seen her 1 minute clip. Again, purely based on the picture that I saw, what she does for a living. I just, again, get really good feelings about her. I don't even have a person to draw a comparison. I guess because the name's similar, I guess I draw the comparison from Lindsay from last season.
Yeah,
Blonde, great smile, seems to be just a good person, but I have nothing to base that on.
but
So
she's
I'm going,
42 years old. Lindsay Carmine's 42 years old. That's unfair to her, but I feel like that's a red flag in my mind because they just historically 40-year-old women just do not do well on Survivor. So hopefully she can break it because she does seem nice and she is a super fan actually.
is she
And she
okay?
and she knows she acknowledged in it that she knows she'd be an underdog. And it'll be kind of an uphill battle because she is that age that usually doesn't do well for women.
Well, at
But
least you go into the game with that in mind, knowing that you have a battle to fight, right?
yeah,
Because I think it's better to have that awareness socially and physically in the game, as opposed to going in and just kind of like la di da, just going through the motions.
because so often that middle-aged woman kind of ends up being the one in the final tribal council that gets no votes.
Yeah, that's true. There
Well,
there are many seasons to point back on, like that.
a lot of
Sherry with when Cochran won.
yeah, and then Julie in Edge of Extinction. It's just rough. It's rough for them, especially. Don't start crying because then they immediately you're just like you're the emotional mom figure and then you're dismissed. So it's tough these perceptions you go in with.
Exactly.
But that's the only
Yeah.
red flag for me really.
No, it's a good call out. It's a good call out, but I'm going
But
with it.
she did name Natalie Anderson and Suri. They're her
Okay.
two. All right, so far I'm getting all the ones I want though, so I like that.
Me too. I mean, yeah, we're sitting pretty here.
I'm going for Jesse Lopez.
All right.
I think he's cool. He's got the background similar to Shan last season. He even related. That was one of the people he named was Shan because of that. They had the gang background that they were able to get out of and turn their life around, basically. And he's 30 years old. He's a political science PhD student, and he did a whole thing on. He was studying voting behaviors, and that's what got him into watching Survivor again. He's like, oh, there's voting on Survivor. There's politics involved. I don't know how exactly that correlates to like voting in an election versus voting someone off of an island. It's $4 million. It's a little different, but they got him back into it around Ghost Island. He said he had like stopped watching around All Stars after All Stars, so. But he got back to it. Now he listens to podcasts and all that. So
My only hesitation with him was the research that he'd done, and I guess I just wonder how adaptable is he going to be, and how much emphasis is he going to put on like, no, like this is like he's going to go to these people and talk about like, no, like I researched this, like it has to be this way. They're going to vote this way because, and it's like the game doesn't really work like that, man. Like it's adaptable, it's flexible, like things change on a dime, and so I wonder. But you can say the same thing about Cochran. Like he literally wrote his thesis statement on tribal councils, and he ended up winning the game. So you just never know.
yeah, I mean he seems fun. Like his clip, he seems like a fun guy. So he
Yep,
also
for
named,
sure.
in addition to Shan, he said Jeremy and Tony
Okay.
for winners.
Next, I'm going to go with. I have two people here. I'm going to go with Justine Brennan. She's 29 in a cybersecurity. She's in cybersecurity sales. I'm not really sure what that means, but I'm in like an IT security type role, so I kind of connect with that occupation. So I've not seen her 1 minute clip.
Mm.
I'm just kind of going on a limb and saying that she has that kind of security background. I think those skill sets might apply well to the game because I'm not going to go into details, but as I model my audition tape, like I'm going to apply some of those skill sets to how it would do well in Survivor.
I
But I'm
didn't have
curious.
Yeah, I didn't have too many notes on her, but she did say in her clip that she's used, or people will probably underestimate her, thinking she's a small lady. She's always been in a male dominated field, she said. and so she's used to that kind of being like the one woman on a project or in a group. So she feels like she can use that to her advantage, having people underestimate her, and she can sneak in there and do her thing.
Big Erica vibes then.
And she actually said Erica was her person, but I think it was
Really?
also because she had some kinship with her, because I think she was also Filipina, so there's something about that too that she liked.
Okay.
And she did name Parvati also.
Good stuff.
She said, I'm not the flirty, I'm really not a flirty girl, but I do like Parvati's game.
Okay. Well, I'm rooting for Justine. She's gonna go all the way. I see you now.
All right, I'm taking Mariah. Okay, colorful, so colorful. I don't know. It's like obviously it's immediately. I'm like, whoa, that's coming on a little strong. But I mean,
It's a lot. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't be surprised if she somehow made her way to the end, though. People underestimate her. I think she's just like bubbly, outgoing. That's all she is. But
Reminds me a lot of Marianne in that sense, just in terms of like enthusiasm and positivity. And for me, her moving farther in the game depends a lot on one, how the Baka tribe does, and how her tribe mates can deal with that booming personality. Because I feel like Jonathan, Lindsay, Omer, like they were very patient with Marianne and that like enthusiasm and positivity that she brought to day-to-day life. But like if Mariah is constantly trying to make things brighter and it's pouring down rain and they're locked in that tribe or that tent all day long, I feel like she's going to drive people nuts.
Because it was the fact that they were winning so many immunities that kind of kept Marianne safe. She probably would have been gone if they went to tribal council. But I mean, Mariah, she's seen every episode. She's a teacher. She's an artist. So for her winner, she said Kim, and for her non-winner, they're in the middle of season 42 at the time of this. So she's like, I don't know. I'm hoping she wins, but I'll just say Marianne as my non-winner. So,
no way. Wow. That's wild.
So yeah, definitely Marianne vibes. But
all right.
Like, and see, the reason I also said her is because, some people, I feel like if you give off Erica vibes, people might be onto that and might hone in on that. But since they didn't see Marianne win, you wouldn't expect her to win from probably where she's at in the middle of the season. Then it's like, oh, maybe we do just keep, if you get a Marianne vibes, she's just fun to keep around. She's loyal or whatever,
For sure.
I don't think it'll have that negative effect that it might have if she went on like season 44, because people will be looking out for a Marianne type.
I agree. Yeah. Alrighty. Next for me, I'm gonna go with Ellie Scott, 31 years old, clinical psychologist. Did not see her 1 minute little interview either, but I guess just based on the profession, I can only make the comparison to Tori last season, who also came into the game as a psychologist. You'd think can read people well, to understand social situations really well, know how to navigate difficult conversations with people. And I think those types of skill sets can serve you well in the game of Survivor, depending on how you leverage those skill sets. So, Picanelli.
She seemed pretty confident in her clip. I was really bored just reading her interview. I thought she seemed like she'd be very boring.
Okay.
But she's a little more personable in the clip, and she seemed confident. She was like, she saw herself, she could be similar to Sari. And she also named Nick. I think Nick also had like a similar background in terms of like something that happened to one of his family members. I forget what it was.
His mom overdosed. Yeah.
That's what it was, yeah. So I think that's a connection she had too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
She also said she wants to be an advantage queen.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, this is the way to do it. This is the season to do it. The new era. You want to be an advantage queen. But she also said that she got into the show because people were telling her before Tarqaron came out, they were saying you seem similar to Michelle Fitzgerald. And so she's like, oh,
Okay.
Michelle Fitzgerald, and won, too, after she watched it. So she's like, I can do this. All right. Okay, for me, let's see. I'll go with Carla. Okay.
Okay.
Carla is a 28-year-old educational project manager, and she kind of wanted to come in because she saw a lack of representation in queer Latinas. So that's really not something you see. I think we maybe seen Lyrsa might be the only one. She was in David vs. Goliath. So she wants to get representation for that. She says she had a low-income upbringing, so she thinks she'll have that, like, the nature that she needs to, like, to power through even when it's tough. And she's talked about how in, like, pretty much every aspect of her life, Survivor's a part of it. Like, she's part of Survivor communities, like, in her work, and she's in these, like, I don't know if it was her who said she was in a bunch of fantasy pools too, but she named.
She's a chismosa. She's ready to start drama.
Yes,
She's ready to just really tear things up. So
yeah, so she could be a bit of a wild card. I was like kind of less. I had her higher on my list and I lowered it down, but hopefully she does well. She named Tony and Sari. All right, Sari's getting a lot of shout outs.
Yeah, dang.
If you're gonna pick a non-winner, it might as well be Sari.
Yeah, she's the one.
Probably the best to ever do it.
All right. Next, I'm going to select Cody Asenmarker.
Austin Mocker.
Austin Marker? Yeah. 35 years old, and he's in elevator sales. I guess you need a person to sell elevators. It just seems like such a strange profession to have. I feel like I'm a broken record. I've not seen his 1-minute clip either. Just based on physical appearance and physicality,
Okay.
I feel like at least early on in the game, he's going to be someone that's going to help in challenges for their tribe. Whether that lends itself further in the game and he has a strategic mind and he's sociable, I do not know yet. But just stereotypically going off of physical appearance, and I guess even being in sales, you have to be a sociable, personable type of person. So I think his social game will at least be strong.
This guy seems like a crazy wild character.
Does he really?
Yeah, I had him at the bottom of my list because I just did not see like this much of a character winning the game, but we'll see. He's pretty out there. He said that he has the word "living" tattooed on his butt cheeks. That's what he said in his 1-minute clip. He threw that out there.
Okay.
He's like, he's all about living hard. And like his hair, he'll have relationship building in the front and wild strategizing in the back. Is what he said.
Dear Lord. Okay. Wow. Well, I'm not really sure how living on your butt cheeks is a constant reminder every day unless you have some type of like. I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know how that motivates you in the morning because it's a constant reminder when you can't really see that. But all right, I'm going with Cody. We'll see how that plays out for me.
He named Tony, Ozzy, and Malcolm. Okay.
Okay.
So I think he's like, I don't know. I think he's gonna be a character this season.
He's
That's
a
what I get
brochacho.
from him. Yes,
Yep.
for sure. And he did mention they asked a question to a couple people if you were to have one fictional character or celebrity come to a loved one's visit for you, who would it be? And he said Patrick Swayze. He said it would blow his mind to see Patrick Swayze on the beach. And I'm like, I'll say he's dead.
All right. Well, I did not anticipate that based on. See, you really can't get enough by just seeing someone's picture. Never judge a book by its cover, I suppose.
It might work out for you. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. I think I'm going to say Dwight.
Yep.
From his interview, he's a little bit of a fast talker, but and he's definitely smart, very smart. Just so he doesn't come along a little too strong with it. But he's 22 years old. He's a journalist. He's interviewed like a bunch of these. He's interviewed secretaries of states before he was in high school. Like
what
stuff like this. I don't know how that happens, but he did.
Right on.
He's like, with that mentality, I just go in and it's like the worst they can say is no. So I'm gonna take that mentality into Survivor. So we'll see. He
Okay.
said Wendell was a winner, and he said he doesn't compare himself to non-winners. He just wants to focus on winning games.
Cool.
So
That's respect. He only has winning on the mind.
that's
All
right.
right. Well, with winning on the minds, I'm going to go with Sam Layati, the 19-year-old pet cremator from Las Vegas, Nevada.
I hate this guy too. I think he's got no shot.
Yeah, he's such a goofball. Like, speaking of talking fast, he talks super fast. All I had in my notes is I think he's going to surprise people, but probably not in a positive way that's going to advance him in the game. I think he's just going to, like, come at it in a way. I think he's going to, in 41 on the Green Tribe with Shan, Ricard, who was the younger guy, ran track, had a lot of medals. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Yeah, dreadlocks.
JD.
Um, JD. I feel like he's gonna have a personality of like really trying to be goofy and funny and bring that personality, but he's gonna have people that are just gonna be looking at him with like eyes wide open. Like, I don't know what this guy is trying to do, but he's really rubbing people the wrong way. Which isn't a reason for me to draft him. I just think he's gonna be goofy, and for whatever reason, he's gonna go far, or at least potentially pre-merge.
So he's 19 years old. He wants to
Mm-hmm.
be the youngest Survivor winner ever. That's what he wants to do. And that's always a red flag for me. The youngest person or the oldest person, which is ironic since the last season had both the youngest and the oldest for the top two of that season.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily the case, but there's always something about like the young people that might not be ready for this game. It was like a certain sweet spot of an age that like around 30, a little before 30 might be the perfect age. 26 to 30 might be the perfect age to play the game, because it's like you have a little, not enough life experience when you're too young, and then when you're too old, it's like hard to fit in, especially when the casts are younger.
Yeah,
But
set in your ways.
But we saw the opposite happen last season. Marianne won, being the youngest, and Mike did really well for
Mike killed
himself,
in there.
and he had a great social game. So
Yeah.
but this guy, he's talking about how he loves his looks, but he doesn't want people to focus on that. I think I'm some like self-righteous guy who only cares about himself. You can see that I'm a good kid when you get down to it.
Listen, it's like Nicole from Pearl Islands. He's either gonna be the first person voted out, or he's gonna go to the very end and win the game. I mean, it's really that simple.
Well, in the case of the person he relates himself to, the winner, Chris Underwood, he might be able to do both.
Oh no! What
Yeah.
a weird way, or what a weird person to pick is your
You
favorite
say Chris
winner.
Underwood, he's like, it might be I forget what he said, it might be a weird pick, but he did, like, he went and he played hard, he did what he had to do in the time he was there. It's like
No.
that, but no, yeah. You don't want to pick Chris Underwood.
Rick Devon should have won that season. All right, it's really that simple.
It's true. Another case of their twist backfiring on production there.
Yep.
And you kind of had it in the first half. Like you get Rick Devens as the winner. Your twist still works out, but they of course they had to tip the scale too far, and then we got Chris Underwood as the winner. But yeah, I think Chris Underwood is literally objectively the worst Survivor winner, because he's the only one to be voted out in the season that they won.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not even a season. The biggest problem with that is they didn't even know there was a twist going into it. So you can't even argue that, well, they all knew that Edge of Extinction was going to be a part of it. No, he just lucked out. It's like, oh, I get another chance. Okay. And and then all these people are going to love me, and they're going to give me these tips. So when I go back in, what I need to do for them to win. Okay, great. Anyway, but he also said David Wright, so that's interesting. So, yeah, Sammy, I'm down on Sammy, unfortunately, but he could be one. There are definitely people like this where it's like preseason, I'm really turned off by them, and they go on to be like a great player or a great character, and it's like I'm rooting for them hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after those first few days of the game, you really have to gauge the rest of the people playing the game and figure out like, do I pull back my personality or do I just like turn it up to 11 and really just go all in on this? And I think he's someone who's really going to have to dial it back. So we'll see if he actually does that.
All right, I'm going to say Noel. All right. We're down to the last two, right?
Yep.
So you'll have Ryan.
Yes, sir.
No.
Both 25 years old.
I don't think it's any fault of her own that I picked her last. I think it's literally the fact that I think people, the fact that she is an amputee, she will be disadvantaged, not just because you don't want to sit next to you in the end, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what's tough about it. I mean, we saw that even a little bit in Vanuatu. Shout out to Chad, the only other amputee to ever be on there.
Yeah.
She's saying she's the first above knee amputee. So what was Chad? She says she's the first above knee amputee in Survivor. Did Chad just have like the little, like, just his foot, or
maybe, I don't know. I'd have to go back and see that.
I mean, I'm assuming she clarified that for a reason. She has to know there was one other amputee on the show, but
I thought there was another girl. I thought there was another girl because she, like, I thought said like, "Hey guys, by the way, I don't have a leg" or something like that. Like, I thought there was like this big reveal moment. Like there was one other person.
I could be forgetting someone.
For some reason, like, she had a ponytail. I thought she had like a peach-colored shirt on.
Okay.
Like, I almost like vividly remember like the moment that she's like, "Oh, by the way," and she like lifted up her pant leg, and there was like a Survivor sound effect, like dun dun, like she didn't like type of thing.
Was this
like,
old school Survivor? Or?
It was probably like within the first 15 to 20 seasons for sure.
I gotta look this up. Maybe it's on a season I haven't watched, because there's still a couple I haven't watched too. Amputees on Survivor. Let's see if that.
I could have sworn there was at least one more.
Kelly.
Yeah. What season was she on?
Kelly Bruno from Survivor Nicaragua, which I haven't seen. I have not seen.
Okay, there you go. That's it.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, but it does say in their little trivia thing she's the second amputee following Chad, and they would then be followed by Survivor 43 contestant Noelle Lambert. So she's there to represent that community, show that it's not a weakness.
Yeah,
I get it, but it's just tough. It's tough when you have something like that. It's like if you have this big thing that's like a label that you can't shake it. You can't come in and say, just like you can with a job, you can shake that. You can say you have a different job if it's something that pins a target on you. You know, you don't have to say you're like this great cancer survivor if you don't want to put a target in your back. But this one you can't. You have to. It's the elephant in the room. So
yeah, you can't hide from that.
Whether people want to admit it or not, I feel like that's going to be in their mind. Like, oh, I don't want to sit next to her in the end. She's got the story already, like day one.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? Like, so even if physically, strategically, socially, she doesn't present this significant advantage, but she still holds her own in the challenges, helps them to win challenges. You're absolutely right. Like post-merge, you absolutely know it. The conversation is going to happen that like we have to get Noelle out. I mean, she just has too great of a story. I mean, literally a U.S. Paralympian, never ran track in her life. She's an amputee, loses her leg, then sets world records as a U.S. Olympian running the 100-meter dash. Like, it's a fantastic story, and it's unfortunate that there's like in my eyes like no way she can win the game because of the other contestants knowing it's too good of a story and she's a guaranteed winner. But I like how she's going into the game with this mindset of like, I just want to motivate and inspire and influence other people to basically kind of just never give up, give it their all type of thing. And I just hope she's not someone that early on people are just going to like, what tribe is she on? Vessi. Vessi goes to tribal counselor first, and she's just like, and everyone's just like, well, I mean, naturally we just have to get Noelle out because she's missing a leg, right? Like that would just be really.
I don't see that happen. I think if anything, it might help her in the early stages of the game. That way, like,
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
But yeah, it's tough. Maybe she'll prove us wrong. We're doubting her just like everybody else has always doubted her.
Yeah.
And she'll defy the odds of. I'd like to see it, but
I hope so.
I just don't see it 'cause it's just tough on Survivor. There's so many things that are just about perception.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, and then your last person is Ryan. How do you feel
Ryan
about Ryan?
Medrano.
Oh, yeah, Noel did say Boston Rob and Kelly Wentworth, too.
Okay. 25 years old, Ryan. He's a warehouse associate. I mean, I got good feelings from him too. I just kind of stacked my list with some of those other people. I don't really have one feeling positively or negatively one way versus the other. I also didn't see his video, read the fun facts. I don't know if there's anything that would bring his game up or down based on what was shown. So anything that you can kind of enlighten us on there, Zach?
I don't have many notes on him, but I don't know what it is that he just didn't stand out to me.
Okay.
There must have been something. I feel like there was something in his interview I didn't write down, but it was like maybe he wasn't as big of a fan as I hoped or something. And he said, but he did say Rupert, Xander, and Parvati were his people, and I'm going off of vibes. He seems like a nice guy, but I just don't see him as the winner for some reason.
Yeah.
I think since there's so much, you should just do maybe a little, just the pet peeves from each of them.
Okay.
A fun little fact. All right, because there's a lot if we were to actually look through all these bios. So I'm gonna name off the pet peeves of each person. All right, Ellie. She says, really the only way someone can earn a spot on my bad side is by being inconsiderate or intentionally hurtful to others. Social injustice and discrimination make my blood boil. I will always speak up when I observe it, even if it gets me into trouble. Okay. Janine's pet peeve is being mansplained to, and people on their phones while you're hanging out.
Oh, okay.
Where do you stand on the people on their phones debacle? If you're hanging out with people,
it depends the environment, right? Like if I'm with my wife and we're out at a nice dinner, like obviously I'd hope that we're both kind of unplugged socially. We're not talking to friends. We're not on Discord. We're not on social media. We're kind of locked in. But if I'm at a social gathering with a couple friends, we're watching a game, we're playing video games, we're playing board games, whatever type of social atmosphere we're in, there's 3 to 5 of us hanging out. I don't mind if one of them whips their phone out and starts like doing something. If I'm having a direct conversation with someone, we're kind of in the midst of having a conversation like this. Like if you and I are sitting here having this conversation about Survivor right now, and then you just like start nodding your head, but I see you're totally invested in some other thing like that. Like that would, that kind of pissed me off a little bit. Like, dude, come on now. We're talking about Survivor. It's got to be more important.
I get what you're saying. I love that too. Oh, what? Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just like you got to repeat yourself, and it's like clearly what I'm saying is not important to you, right? So yeah.
And luckily on Survivor they don't have to deal with that. She won't have to deal with that pet peeve. Otherwise, that would literally come into strategy. Like this he's not paying attention. He doesn't care what I'm saying. He's on his phone. They're out there on the island. He's just scrolling his phone.
I think there's an element of that, and being able to read people well and understand, because there's a difference between people listening and hearing, right? You can listen to someone, but hearing them is a completely different thing. And so I think if that's a pet peeve of her, people being on their phones, I think she can pick up on that on the island of whether or not people are actually hearing or listening to her.
It's tough to pick up on, though, because it's not even necessarily you can say, like, eye contact if they're not making eye contact. Some people just don't, like, they're different. They don't handle eye contact the same way. So it's like, you got to learn that person for sure. Mm-hmm. But let's look out for anybody mansplaining Janine. It's not going to go well. Mike, or Gabler, says, unfairness and men in skinny jeans.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Those guys in those skinny jeans, man. Well, it is funny, not to stereotype old men, but Gabler's 52. He's on the same tribe as Janine. And I feel like if anyone's going to mansplain on her tribe, it would probably be the older guy who's set in his ways.
And who's, used to being in the operation room.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And the producers do that type of stuff intentionally. And
if his pet peeve is unfairness, you got another thing coming with the new era Survivor, my friend.
Yeah.
No hourglass, luckily, or he'd be pissed. He'd be pissed. Mariah says, negative Nancy's, Debbie Downers, and bullies.
Okay.
I feel you. I mean, that's what else would you expect? She's so colorful. Even like in this cast photo, it's just a big rainbow dress. She's got the rainbow hair, and even like when she had a different outfit in the clip, it was still like a rainbow colored shirt. Like she just every day of her life, it's always all colors on display.
And she said, "I might rub people the wrong way, but any place I step into, I just want to make it brighter."
Hmm.
So,
I mean, literally, yeah. It's got to be exhausting though. Hopefully, we're gonna see that other side to Mariah, where she's just like depressed. She becomes the negative Nancy.
I
The
mean,
thing she
Marianne
hated.
broke a couple times. Like, she got pretty upset a number of times over
Hmm.
the season. So if Mariah makes it deeper into the game, I see that happening because everyone has their breaking point, especially on a game of Survivor when you don't have food, you don't have caffeine, you don't have your loved ones to fall back on. So I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see though, because I think Jeff even said this about Marianne, that she would still come with a smile on her face like every challenge, every tribal council. So
She did, but I mean, it's kind of like you look at the Rupert edit in his original season in Pearl Islands, right? We only got 100% Rupert, like just the best of moments. And then the following season in All Stars, we saw some of the not so great moments of Rupert when he wanted to buy or when he wanted to build a shelter and, dig a trench in the middle of the sand. And everyone's like, yep, see, Rupert didn't always have the best ideas in mind. So again, I think some of that depends on the edit as well. But you're right. I think Marianne, even in the midst of chaos, still came to challenges and tribal with a smile on her face.
and that's an admirable trait to have, and
Yeah,
to
for
be
sure.
unbroken even on Survivor. That's even more impressive. So
Yep.
Owen's pet peeves are people who are entitled and people who don't know what to do at a four-way stop.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Some people
Random,
don't
but
know
that's
what.
good.
Yeah, it is very specific. I feel
Yeah.
like people ask me about my pet peeves. I can never think of like specific ones,
Yeah,
but
I would think
everybody
of like
has good ones.
punctuality, right? Like just not being on
Being on
time. Like just
time.
the very simple
Yeah, you'd be in
things.
hell if you had to do a show with Alec every week. That's rough enough for me. It's not even a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. Well, whenever I'm a guest, I get a little bit of a taste of that,
A
but I can't
little
imagine
bit.
dealing with that every week. Yeah.
Hmm. But yeah, four-way stop. Some people just don't know what they're doing. This is
Yeah.
very confusing. It's very confusing for them.
Well, especially I think post-pandemic. I mean, we're still kind of somewhat in the midst of it, right? But like after like 2021, 2022, when people actually started getting on the road again, it's like, oh, people do not know how to operate vehicles
They
anymore.
forgot. They forgot. They just don't even remember how it works.
Yeah.
All right, Sammy,
Oh boy.
19-year-old Sammy, says excuses, laziness, and being woken up before noon on weekends.
Before noon?
Yeah, that's
What in
that.
the world?
That's that Gen Z mentality.
Goodness. I mean, how late in the night is he cremating pets?
He
Like,
just
gee.
likes chilling. He likes chilling on the weekends. I guess maybe he's got that Monday through Friday, and he likes to sleep in on the weekends.
Good for him, man. I
Because look,
couldn't.
because he does say his pet peeves are laziness, so it's not him being lazy. It's just he wants to sleep in on the weekends, you know.
Needs his rest. Yeah.
And then we got Cassidy, who pet peeves narrow-minded, judgmental people, and also people who have no reverence for Mother Nature and all her beautiful beings.
Okay.
Wow.
Alrighty. What does that
I
mean?
don't know. Is that interesting?
Is that like people that don't recycle, or is that people that just?
They just don't appreciate the beauty of the world, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on there.
If we get to unpack that, because she's gonna have that moment where she just loves. She's gonna be like Rory on Vanuatu. He just loves being there.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful Fiji.
Yeah.
For the 11th season in a row now, by the way, in Fiji. Take
They're
us
gonna go back
back.
to Africa next year. They're gonna go back to Africa next year for sure.
Copium.
Really makes sense.
Copium. They're going back. They're gonna go back to Borneo, and
Yeah.
back to basics season. Please.
Yeah. Yep.
Geo, pet peeves. I strongly dislike laziness and people who don't have common courtesy. What would you be able to come up with an answer right now if they asked you what are your pet peeves?
I think punctuality is a big
What
one.
would
Like,
be
I mean, that's
punctuality?
yeah. I also like communication is a big one. I've really gotten to this stage of my life as a adult-ish, right? I'm 29 years old. That if you have a problem with me, you have to communicate that, because if you want to play the passive aggressive game, I have literally no tolerance or patience for that.
Passive
Um,
aggressiveness.
yeah, so passive aggressiveness just it doesn't work for me. It's not in my DNA, and I think it just fuels the fire of drama, and I just don't have a whole lot of patience for that, and I'll kind of just
I want to
yeah.
see you. Yeah, I want to see you on Survivor with someone passive aggressive on you. See how you
Yeah,
deal
I
with
mean,
that.
yeah, exactly. Come on, Jeff. I'm ready, man. Just give me a call.
All right, James Jones. Pet peeves: really bad customer service and pushy
Mm,
salespeople. All right. Well, let's hope. Let's hope. Who's the elevator salesman?
that's the goofy guy in Hawaii. It's Cody.
Cody. Yeah. Let's hope he's not too pushy. Talking about his elevators and also escalators as well. He's just
Uh,
pushy salespeople. I mean, we could see some pitches on Survivor. You do pitch to people, so if they're too pushy about their plan,
yeah,
then we'll see
it's
that
true.
come out. And then Carla, tardiness,
There
pessimism,
you go.
and slow drivers.
Those are all good.
Where's someone who's like their pet peeve is like just positivity. I just only want negativity.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a balance to that, though, right? I mean, I feel like people can be like, someone's pet peeve can be overly optimistic or overly positive all the time, because that can be exhausting,
Mhm. It
especially
is.
when you're malnourished, you're not eating well, you don't have, caffeine or whatever things give you a pep in your step or make you happy. Um, Someone that's overly positive in those types of environments would
Yeah.
be difficult.
Lindsay Carmine. People that cut in line, smacking gum, and when people play games on their phone and don't put the phone on silent. that
That is
is.
very oddly specific and weird. Is she just like chilling in a Wendy's and
I
some
feel
kid's
like they're
playing on
like
his
bloom,
iPad?
bloom, bloom. Like they
Yeah.
just okay. I get you.
All right.
Smacking gum. I feel you don't hear that often though. Smacking
Yeah.
gum. These shouldn't come into play on Survivor. All right, you gotta look out for the people. You don't have any pet peeves to worry about.
Yeah, you should be okay.
Survivor. Ryan. Pet peeves: bullies, laziness, and self entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair. Cody Ossenmacher.
Oh, here we go.
Lazy people, social media addicts, and clipping nails in a public location.
Oh, who does that? That is weird.
That's a rare one. I feel like.
Not a go-to pet
How is
peeve
that a
though.
pet
Like,
peeve? How often do you see people clipping nails in public?
yeah, I mean, especially when you live in Hawaii, because that's where he lives.
That's
Like, how do
Hawaii.
people
It's
not?
a Hawaii thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, those Hawaiians, man, just clipping their toenails wherever they darn please.
Aloha. You know,
Yeah.
just like going to clipping. Dang, everywhere I go, these people you don't
They're always.
understand.
Yeah.
I gotta move
God.
back to Iowa. You know. Dwight,
Um,
pet peeves. Someone making a reference to The Office within 2 seconds of learning my name.
yeah, I can see that. I could see that.
And then arrogance and refusal to use turn signals while driving.
Mm.
A lot of these driving pet peeves coming out.
Yeah.
These people, you don't have to worry about the car. Just relax. Put your phones away, okay? I know it's getting to
Mhm.
you. I mean, he also said for when they asked about a loved one, a fictional character, he said it would be Dwight, so he could yell at him for people always making references to him with his
Good.
name. Jesse Lopez, pet peeves, quitters, people who complain about things but aren't willing to change, and personalized license plates.
Some of these are so bizarre. Like flipping
People
toenails in public and personalized license plates.
People are
My
spending
gosh.
too much time on the road these days, huh?
Yeah.
That's all they
No
got.
kidding.
I mean, there's some weird ones I've seen where I don't even understand like what they're going for. It's clearly a reference to something. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but okay, power to you. I thought about what would I do for a personalized license plate if I had one. I couldn't think of anything good.
Tarqaron,
Tarqaron, yeah.
Yeah.
Justine, when people walk slowly right in front of you, when you open the door for someone and they don't say thank you, and when people are passive aggressive.
There it is, Janine, my girl,
Justine.
or Justine. Wait,
Justine.
she's the cybersecurity person.
Yes.
See, we're gonna get along really well, Justine. All right.
Do you also hate when people walk slowly right in front of you, and when you hold the door open for someone, they don't say thank you?
The second one, not so much. I don't really care. It's just a common courtesy. If people don't, admire that, it's whatever. But people walking slow in front of me, yeah, come on, like serious. Especially when you have like
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
a short sidewalk or not a narrow sidewalk, and you have like 4 people taking up the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, come on now.
I feel you. Yeah, it's.
The world is my airport. Like I'm always walking fast. Right? I mean, it's like I'm always trying to make my next flight wherever I am. So I'm always walking fast. So anyone that doesn't want to walk at the same pace as me, that's fine. But at least
move aside.
Step away. Move aside.
Step off.
Yeah, exactly.
Politely step off. NECA just says mediocrity and laziness.
Gosh, those mediocre
Mediocre.
Just a bunch of average schmucks.
You don't settle for anything less than excellence.
Yeah,
That's
100.
right.
Listen, I quit if I can't give 110% every single time. Right? It's just how I roll.
And lastly, we have Noel, who says lazy people, slow drivers, and phony people. Is that people that are on their phone a lot? Phony people? Because that seems to be the theme. These drivers and. All right, those are pretty basic, huh?
Yeah.
Well, then that's it. That's Survivor 43. Is there anything else going into it?
I don't think so. I'm really excited. I always am going into Survivor season. Like I was saying, I think before we started recording, I'm in the midst of preparing my next audition tape. So if Jeff, you're watching, or any of the Survivor casting team, hello. You'll be getting another audition tape from me soon. But no, 43. I really like this cast. Talking about it here, I think you've kind of only increased my excitement for it. Very interested to see what they do, all the twists and turns that we talked about from 41 and 42, how those find their way into 43, what they axe, what they bring in, what they innovate on. It'll be interesting. So I'm excited for this season. But what about you, Zach? Where are you at with this?
I just want to know, will Jeff be talking to us? Will he talk us through it? Because I don't know if I can navigate it on my own.
Yeah, that whole breaking the fourth wall thing, I do need my hand held just because otherwise, I mean, sometimes I can't even find the remote to turn on the TV, let alone understand what's going on in the game of Survivor. So
I like the full-on interaction. It's like they introduce like a live poll going on, like retroactively. It's like use the hashtag below and say who you think's going to be voted out. All right, and then we'll see if you guys were right at the end of the episode. Okay, check back in.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're going to have Rebus puzzles for our young viewers to find still.
That's important. That's important.
It's important you didn't say if it's going to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope we find... one thing I don't like about kind of going to numbered in the last 2 seasons, like, I don't want it to feel too much of the same, and all blend together after a while. I don't even like the simple fact that it's just like a given that we're going to have 3 tribes. Because it used to be, it's like you don't know how it's going to start. It could have been 2 tribes. It could be 3 tribes. It could be 2 swapped into 3 tribes. Mm-hmm. It could be 3 swapped into 2. But now it's like you just have your given. Like they show us from the beginning, these are the 3 tribes you're starting with. And there's no like intrigue there, I feel like.
Yeah.
Where there used to be. But, I mean, I'm excited. Of course, 2-hour episode and a 90-minute episode. There'll be a lot to get into. We'll see if we, immediately get an impression of how the season's going to be going. Or if we got to have a little more time to get acquainted.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure first episode out the gate, especially the first 2 episodes, all that time, there's going to be probably 20 twists already to sink our teeth into.
Oh, yeah.
And
no doubt.
Because Jeff is taking away. They are taking away the hourglass and the do or die twist, but do not put it past them to put the monster will unleash something even fiercer. Careful what you wish for. No do or die. It's just die. If you lose this immunity challenge, you die. All right. you didn't want the twist. That's what you get.
Yeah.
All right. The hourglass. I mean. People talked about like you'd modify the hourglass. It's like at least make it so that you're not safe because you're obviously always gonna pick the option that keeps you safe also. But it's like, yeah, let's get the hourglass. This weird stuff is like where you're changing the timeline. It's like, okay, let's get back down to earth here. What happened here?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm excited, and we'll come back afterwards to talk about it. Okay.
It's gonna be good.
Hopefully it's all good, and we're like, yes, this is the new season. I don't think I'll ever be that excited though, as long as we have these things like the shot in the dark, and these little things that it's like, well, it's always gonna be dialed down. As much as I might love a season, because I really liked last season, but I'm still not gonna say like it's one of my favorite seasons ever, just because of these things, so many twists. So until we get another soft reboot of Survivor and we get these twists out of here.
Or familiar face plays the game and you get to watch them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Boston Rob, the 7th season. It's what we need right now. Yeah. Survivor 44, Boston Rob, and 17 new players.
And me.
Yes.
Yep.
You're gonna play. It's gonna be you, a bunch of newbies, and Boston Rob. That's gonna be great. I just think it'd be hilarious. It's hilarious to think about like new players or returning players coming and navigating this.
Oh,
like Boston Rob's like, I guess I'll use my shot in the dark. I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore.
straight out of the Godfather.
Beware. It's like the classic story of the bunny in the mailbox. You know what I'm saying?
They'd have it would be a mess. It'd be a mess.
Knowledge is power. Yeah, I'll get this out of here. Tyson, do you have an idol? You have to say yes if you have it. Okay. All right.
Wouldn't work.
All right. Well, hopefully, now let's put the good vibes into the universe.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for watching, guys. What video would you recommend our viewers watch afterwards?
Well, we're kind of at the very tail end, and we're talking about all the negativity surrounding these newer seasons. I think people need to just go back to where things were at their best. I probably recommended this before, but I'm going to do it again because it's so good, and your initial reaction to this first episode of one of my favorite seasons of Survivor was perfection. Survivor Pearl Islands, episode 1. Go back, watch that, reminisce about how great things were. You have so many memorable contestants, so many memorable moments. It is just good times and great Survivor.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to talk about each episode as it comes out. I'll be doing that solo. But at least you'll have Survivor content because we just... we're a little bit ahead, but we just finished recording our Survivor Guatemala review. So, and then we're going to be taking a bit of a break. We're going to do a season of Black Mirror before the next season. And so this will give us this should fill in that period with Survivor 43 and then come back to it because Guatemala was, it's so jarring going from Guatemala to now 43. It's like night and day.
Yeah, for sure.
Guatemala's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for Panama. I think that'll be a fun season.
That will be good. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Like the video. Leave a comment. Click the link in the description for all our social media. Where can our people check you out, Rusty?
You can find me on Twitter at AriLewis2011. You can also find my video game podcast, The Otaku Brothers, or just Otaku Brothers. All your favorite podcasting platforms out there. My brother-in-law and I talk about video games, movies, TV, lots of other random stuff. Find us out there, and that's about it. And eventually, hopefully someday, maybe you'll see me on CBS in Survivor like 47 or something.
Survivor 47. That would be so epic. The only thing is, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop Alex from watching it, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. That'll interfere. That's what I was like. If I was on Survivor, it's like I got to tell him, don't watch. You can't watch until we make it up to season 48. Okay?
like 10 years from now.
And I'll hide the facts. And I'll have my house will be growing behind me because I won the $1 million.
Yeah.
Like, just don't pay it any mind. This is a new location. All right. I don't know. Did I win? Did I not win?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing I think about. It's like, well, Just be happy when you're on Survivor. But I'm like, but how, the complications of Alex supposed to say that he's in 2005 right now.
You play those lost lottery numbers 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. You won just like Hurley did, and you bought yourself a new pad. It's really as simple as that. You know?
I just genuinely don't know what I would do in that situation, because I think I'd have to say, well, first of all, I'd have to take like a month break, and just come up with an explanation why I'm taking a month break from doing videos, and then when I come back and the cast is announced, is there some way I get through without telling him? I feel like it's something. I feel like it's something I would want to put on my Facebook page. I don't know.
It would be. You'd be social mediating that to heck. Like, it would just be impossible not to. So.
But Alex, stay away. Don't watch it.
Stay away, Alec. Stay away.
Can you? It would just be so amazing if that was possible, though, that I could see his fresh reaction to me or you on Survivor. Watch
Stepping on the beach. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy. That would be pretty crazy.
But all right. Take care. All right, get out of here.